Cool. So after 2 fail attempts, third time
Yeah.
the charm. Ended up a little bit missing each other everywhere, but we made it work. So what can I do for you today?
All right. So, I hit 240 like a little bit ago, and I can kind of see like the short-term gains that I'm supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel kind of absolutely fucked in like where I'm supposed to be going in like a year or two from now.
Right.
So like, right now, like I guess the farthest I've gone is like I'm in a normal lucid party, and 250 seems free now since they did the whole experience change.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd say like after that, anything after that, I'm kind of at a loss, and I'm like my biggest thing is like I'm at like 25, 26k stat. Like how the hell do I boost that up to like 40k? Like
Yeah,
I
it seems
can't even, like,
impossible, right?
conceptualize how the hell I even get there.
Yeah, because it's like I feel like everything I have is already pretty well upgraded, but I have to double that somehow.
Yeah. So like I used to keep track of my progression when I started this character. Like, all right, let's like try to double my range. So I'd start with like 50k, then I went 100k, then 200, then I'm at like 1 mil, 5 mil, 10 mil, and then now I'm hitting a point where like, dude, these numbers aren't gonna fucking change unless I actually dump a whole lot of time in here now.
Yeah, pretty much. That seems like you have a good handle of things. Yeah, no, it's well, it's obviously a combination of many things working together, right? The main thing for stats is like the high Star Force, and that's like when people start dipping into 20 and higher Star Force, and then getting 2.5 to 3 line on all of the pieces. It does, because everything just kind of piles on together. It does make a huge difference if all of the individual sources, because like right now you'd say that even Star Force wise, if you're at 17 compared to 20, it seems like it's only 4 extra, but it probably gives you more than like double the actual stats on the item itself. So even though it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot room to gain there, there's a whole lot of stat and attack to gain.
So wait, I know that after like 15 star you start getting attack, but is the stat gains from the additional stars like worth 2? Because I thought it was all just about the attack.
Yeah, no, it does add up. I don't know what character I'm on right now. My marksman has a 20 star stuff. So if you have 20 star Abzo shoulder, that's 119 stat and 70 attack.
Oh. Yeah. Also, really quick, dude. I don't know how often people compliment you on these like progression sessions, but you're like 110% the reason why like I even got past level 200. Because I was just like playing for so long, and I didn't even like bother going into the vanishing journey at all. I was just trying out the different classes, and I was like, Jesus Christ, dude, there's so much information. For like the longest time, I had like 8 to 10 spreadsheets up playing MapleStory at the same time, tabbing through them. So yeah, I just want to say like, dude, you do a fucking fantastic job.
Thanks, dude. Thanks, dude. Yeah, I'm glad it helps you out. Yeah, there is a lot of stuff there, and up till now, MapleStory has done a great job with, I feel, kind of hiding the information or kind of letting you figure it out on your own by making a bunch of mistakes. And there's definitely some mistakes that we shouldn't be making. But then there's some other things where if you just know from the get-go kind of what direction to go, you can already go way more efficiently in it. So yeah, trying to find a middle ground between still letting people enjoy the game and, you know, learning from some mistakes as well, but just making sure that you don't make any huge ones that set you back like a whole lot. Because that's what I like. You know, I like figuring stuff out for myself as well, but there's a lot to figure out, and you know, organizing that a little bit to make people's lives a little bit easier, I guess, is I enjoy doing that. So I'm glad it helped. Well, so when you talk about spreadsheets, you're talking about like my spreadsheets?
Oh yeah, dude, those are the only spreadsheets. I treat it like the fucking MapleStory Bible now.
Should bundle them to like the Maple Bible, like hand them out at next time we have what is it, like TwitchCon or Maple Fest, like bundle all the spreadsheets. Maple Bible, hand it out as pamphlets to people. That'd be a good idea. Yeah, so you're talking like long-term progression, like how do you move from here to all the way over there? Well, the answer is going to be like a little bit of everything and baby steps, but we can, you know, make that a little bit more concrete, I guess. Are there any spreadsheets or any systems in the game where you feel like you could use a bit more of an explanation for things, or does everything kind of make sense for you?
I guess my biggest question is, like, I couldn't find anywhere, like, what the progression for potential lines are. So I feel like kind of boned there. That's, like, my biggest thing. So I think most of my gear is, like, 15 to 18% like stat, which is, I think, pretty trash if I were to talk to my guildies. But I don't know, like, I used the calculator and I saw, like, how much it would take to hit, like, 21%, but I don't know when you make the change. Like, do you start dumping into cubes before you start dumping into, what is it, like, legendary equipment, or do you just, Star Force, and, like, how do you, like, what's the progression of potentials, and, like, when's a good time to start hitting, like, 21%? Because I think that's the next one that's not, like, 18%.
Yeah, there's like many schools of thought. Some people just like throw everything into a calculator and kind of like approximate how much range gain it is and then make like a giant ranking. I think once you get to the point where you're at now, it seems that you basically let the game decide what you're going to work on based on the events that are out. Wait, did you send this before the... Yeah, you sent this before the 5, 10, 15, right? What did you get done yesterday?
Oh, everything should be at 17 except for the I didn't have the balls to fucking send the boots, the Abso boots.
Didn't have the money to safeguard, or you didn't want to?
I didn't have I had the money to safeguard, but I didn't want to dump all my funds just to safeguard that. But everything else got to 17, which I felt more comfortable doing. I don't know. Trying to push to 15 as opposed to going to 15 and 17 is probably one of the more painful things I've ever seen in MapleStory, because I literally just see like my time go out the window and it just hurts really bad.
So many fails, yeah. Well, they're reducing the time on Star Forcing soon. It's gonna be like 40% less animation time, so that's gonna make the whole process quite a bit smoother.
Yeah, that'd be a lot better, because I just realized I'm sitting behind my computer just feeling sad for like 10 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, only 10 minutes to feel sad? Okay. That's I've heard worse. Yeah, wait, so the Black Beam mark also? Is that one also 17? Or did you not go for
that
like...
one's up to 17.
Okay. And then the drop rate gear as well, or no? Like the Diacetus
Not the drop rate gear.
Okay, yeah.
I felt like investing into the drop rate gear was kind of like not useful, because I kind of one-shot everything already.
Yeah.
Even all the way up to Celis now.
Yeah, so you're training in Celis?
Yeah, I'm training in Celis. I like to sit in PD4, and I like to AFK in the submarine, because it's a new area. I don't like the music.
I think I have my Kana AFK there a lot as well in the past, yeah. So you have soloed everything up to Lucid?
I can solo Lotus like probably like 60% of the time. Damien is absolute shit show for me, because I feel like it's a lot of RNG. And if it's a good day and I'm feeling like nice and crispy, I feel like I could clear it, but I still haven't soloed that one out. But I feel like I should have the IED and the damage to do it though. Yeah,
because I think so too. I think it's mainly going to be a practice and a mechanics thing. For Lotus, what usually gets you?
Phase 1 and Phase 2 are a breeze. It's just kind of surviving in Phase 3, because I guess it's everything that's falling down, and then the gravity vacuum thing that she does. That one's kind of annoying. It's pretty easy to cheese as art, because usually if I manage my Spectre like pretty well, I get that 100% knockback. But I usually die when I run out of it, which is kind of an L.
Yeah, that's one thing that you learn to do a lot better as you just boss more and more, is to figure out when do you go into Spectre, when do you stay in Flora. For the platforms, the most left platform, if that one drops, that's always a very safe one, because you can fall off of the left side, right? So even if you get pushed or get knocked, you can fall off of the left side. So if there is a left side platform, I would typically try to go towards that one and then just go into Flora, because even if you get pushed, like you'll stay on. But you do have the knockdown resistance for Spectre, right? The hyper skill?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mainly using that to your advantage, popping all of the big stuff, binding, getting as much damage in as possible, and then, when all of your stuff starts running out, all of the big buffs, then you just go into Flora and you hop around. But yeah, it does take some practice. The thing that's good now is that you can see things materializing on the top of the map right before they're actually dropping.
Yeah.
So it's going to be the main thing is mainly to learn to look up and at the boss at the same time. Mainly practice kiting the boss, just like staying just out of range of his like push attack, because that knockback and even the damage from it is kind of annoying. He does do a lot of touch damage as well, so you don't want to get too close. But yeah, as long as phase 1 and 2 are a breeze and you have all your lives left at the 5th phase, it's just a matter of... and it's going to be the same thing with Damien as well. The more you try the bosses, the more you practice, the more you will... it's not that the RNG goes down, but the amount of risk in the RNG that will require you to panic will go down. And you will have way more situations that you already know how to deal with it because you have in the past. And your like passive level of comfort going into the boss fights will be higher, and the amount of times that you have to use your iframe will go down, and as a result you'll always have your iframe. That'll be the main thing I would advise with Arc, is to always hold on to your creeping terror. You know, you can hold it down for longer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I met a 250 something who didn't know they could do that. They just always tapped it. Just holding on to your iframes for absolute panic mode, probably better in the beginning when you're unfamiliar with the boss, and then as you get more familiar with it, then you can just pop it for damage and just survive. Don't forget to use your Scarlet Drive and the empowered Scarlet Drive in the Spectre form as a as the kind of pseudo iframe as well to dash through things sometimes. That can save you a bit.
Well, what do you mean? Is the dash an iframe?
No, not really, but it's like a teleport, right? So you can move through things with it, like move through the laser in phase 1, right?
Oh no way, you can actually Scarlet Drive through lasers?
Yep.
That's pretty sick.
You have to like jump dash, and it just goes through that. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that can save some time in phase 1. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it makes your timers more manageable. But I mean, if you phase in 1 and 2 are already a breeze, then it doesn't really matter. But I think it could make phase 1 even more chill. You can just stay on the bottom, wait for a vertical laser, dash through, go again. And you just stay on the bottom. You never have to walk around, because the cooldown is also really short, so it never bugs. And if the cooldown is still too short because the laser is super fast, you can always just switch stage and then use the other one for the different cooldown. So both of them dash through.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah. Just remember to jump dash. I think if you dash on the ground, you still get hit or something. It's like a weird way how that works. But yeah, that can help as well to just dash through Lotus if you need to get from one side to the other without taking the touch damage every time. Because the touch damage doesn't add up over time. It is pretty gnarly, and we don't have that much HP going around as a arc, at least in the beginning. So I think at your point now it's probably a bit better. Yeah, you have 55k, so you can take some hits. Yeah, like when you do boss on Lotus, like what kind of setup do you use? Because there's a lot of buttons, right? Do you find trouble with like setting it up properly, or?
That's a question I have for later too, but we can go into it now if you want.
Yeah, sure.
So the skill rotation on Arc during burst is kind of like a lot for me to like digest, and I feel like I might need to readjust my keybinds just to like figure out how I'm supposed to be doing all this stuff, because I feel like I'm one of the only people that puts jump on S, so I just use the left side of the keyboard. But I guess like for me it's like, I guess one thing that I kind of learned recently was charging all the spell bullets before you go into a boss. I heard about that, and I was like, how the hell do you do that? I don't know. So you get all the buffs at once, right? When you go in, like you do one attack and then all of it pops off.
Yeah, you can do that if you want to. Yeah.
Yeah. So I heard that. That's the one thing I don't know how to do that I just learned recently.
Oh, so what you do is you go into your first job and you turn off your automatic bullets, and then you use one of each skill on a target.
But if I turn it off, doesn't that mean I have to press it every time I want to use a bullet?
Well, so what you do is you just charge all of them, right? So you have one of each color, and then you turn it back on before you go in. And then as soon as you hit one skill, boom, they'll fire. Like you use your spell amplification, and then you use the one skill that sends the bullets. Boom, it sends all of them. Bam, all the buffs immediately, and then you start going. But it's really only just right before you go in for the first time. Yeah. But for some boss fights, it can definitely save some time, yeah. And there was a bug with it before where whenever you did that, the Scarlet Drive would not work. But they did fix that, so they all work now. So.
I see. But that wouldn't really work for Lotus, Damien, and what is it?
So if you're in a
And
boss
anything after
party,
CRE, right?
if you're, I mean, you don't really need to, but if there's a boss fight where you're in a party and you just want to get started immediately, it's more for the later bosses. Like if for Hard Darknell, for example, like you immediately want to start bursting whenever you get in there. Basically, if you consider charging the domain outside as well, which means you immediately want to start killing, then it's also probably a good idea to also pre-charge your bullets. So it could be for not for Lotus, like never for Lotus, because even on Hard Lotus, if you have a party that can do Hard Lotus, the stage 1 is still really, really easy. Comparatively has no HP. But it could be for Damien, but specifically for Will for the first phase. I don't know if you've ever tried Will already.
No, am I cool enough to join will parties now? Or no?
You're 240, so you could start like practice runs with a bunch of people who are like around the same level as you, who just want to see what it's like and just get smacked around by Will a little bit to start practicing, because there is a lot of mechanics involved and it does take quite some practice. But you typically only start doing the runs once you're like 245.
Okay, so 245 is once you're like, I should actually start taking this a little bit more seriously.
Yeah, because he's level 250, so before that your damage reduction is kind of silly.
Yeah.
But at 245 it starts getting, I would say it starts getting acceptable to, if you get a party with around the same level, you guys can probably get pretty far. And you want to practice normal will a bunch of times, but usually by the time you get to like, oh, we can do normal will well, at that point you probably want to move into hard will immediately. But it's good to have the practice from normal, because the mechanics are pretty much the same, but you want to learn to get really comfortable with the mechanics on normal so that you don't rely on Moonlight too much, because once you get the hard, you basically don't get Moonlight. Like it's pretty, it's like doesn't exist compared to normal. So you have to get used to doing normal without using your Moonlight pretty much ever. And then if you do that, you'll be fine.
I see. Okay, so yeah, I guess that's like the first part of the skill rotation for Arc. So then, usually whenever I go in for a boss, I kind of like doing the immediate burst strategy. So I think in order that I do is I do the spell amplification thing, the 10% damage hyper as well, get all the bullets off so I can get the buffs, and then bind, and then I would pop the Angelic Buster link, and then do the devastating. What, dude? All these names are so cringy, but it's like the,
so
the big
edgy,
fish that comes out. The fish that comes out of the ground and like does a bite or something. Then at the same time, I do the needle pokey thingy with the guy that comes out and like slaps him in the face at the end.
Yeah, so there's a few things I would change on that whole setup, because the bind is not very long, so you want to make sure that you use the skills that definitely need him to stand still the whole time during the bind. And one thing you also didn't mention is your spell bullets. Yeah, I see that you're you use it in your bossing setup, right? Spell bullets, or what is it called? Infinity spell. That one is like the most important part of your damage, basically.
Oh, really? So pop that during the bursts too?
Yeah. Well, if you have it maxed, it lasts 100 seconds. So you pop that one pretty early on. So you have like what's called like a big burst and like a smaller burst, and the only difference for you is well, the main difference is that you're gonna have Infinity Spell available and you're gonna have Abyssal available, and then the other one is just the same without those two, basically.
Okay, so during that whole initial going in, also pop Infinity spells.
Yeah, so I would do the the amplification, the thinger, and then the 4 skills, or if you have it prepped, just the one and then have the 4 buffs. And then I would pop Infinity Spell, and the more you have it leveled, and I would prioritize leveling that one because it goes up to it increases in duration, and the amount of extra balls that it creates for impending death, and impending death is like the biggest part of your damage, that goes up to I think up to 5 extra per attack when you're in Spectre form, and those trigger as well. Yeah, exactly that. And yeah, it just makes your damage go up by a whole lot. So leveling that one up is going to be very important, and it lasts up to 100 seconds, which means that you can use the hyper skill even without, if you don't have cooldown skip, you can use it twice, like in the beginning of the burst and then right at the end of the burst again, like twice with the Angelic Buster. And the Angelic Buster and the hyper skill, I forget the name as well, but like the the key down one.
Yeah.
Those are pretty much like connected at the hip, because the I think the cooldown for the hyper goes down to like 64 seconds or something, and then it's or 94 seconds. Which is it? Yeah, 94 I think, and then 90 for the Angelic Buster. So they're pretty much, you just want to make sure you use those two together always. And then right after that, you know, if you don't need the iframe, tap Creeping Terror as well, because that's a lot of damage. So like the Infinity Spell, and then after that, I would set up the Insatiably Hungry Beast or Eternally Hungry Beast or whatever it's called on the ground. And then with your current setup, I think that would be fine. But then later on, if you have Overdrive and the Goddess Blessing, you will pop them at that point. Otherwise, the only thing you pop at that point is the Angelic Buster link. And then as soon as he pops up and he's like over the Insatiably Hungry Beast, then you pop your bind, and then you immediately hold down your key down skill. Make sure you confirm all of that. While you're doing that, the hits of the key down are going to confirm the Hungry Beast popping up. And then right after that, you pop into... why am I forgetting the names for all of my own skills? The Abyssal... whatever the fuck it's called. Abyssal, right?
Yeah.
So that's like if you know for sure, and then you're just trying to confirm all the damage as possible. And then... hopefully, by the end of the Abyssal, he's actually still standing there, the boss, and actually takes the hits. It's kind of a gamble, you know. And I think that's the main thing why you haven't cleared Damien yet, is because you can't rely on Abyssal at all in Damien Phase 2, which hurts our damage a lot. It's also why hard Damien solos on an arc are actually surprisingly difficult. Because, you know, you pop into Abyssal and a blue ball just floats casually over to you and reduces your damage by 90%, and now it just doesn't do anything anymore. And that's unfortunate.
Okay.
Yeah, and then afterwards, you know, you just hold what is it, Endless Dream, and then you can attack weave if you want. I don't know if you do that.
Usually I have like Green Pod on with Speed Infusion, and unless like I saw this on like what is it, the Maple Discord? Like you can get those Battle Frenzy stacks for that animation canceling stuff, but if you have like Green Pod and DSI, you can't really get those. And I don't think it's worth the animation cancel because I kind of rely on Scarlet Drive and the other dash and Spectre to kind of move around. So I kind of don't like canceling, but I know it like adds like 15% final damage if you get max stacks or something.
Yeah, it does add damage. Yeah. It is definitely possible, but it is harder to do. The higher your ping and the higher your attack speed, the more difficult it is to start weaving. All you need is really the first one to get started, though, and then once you have a stack of Battle Frenzy, the next ones follow way more easily. But yeah, definitely focus on the other mechanics first, you know, that you get everything done, and then just to hold Endless Dream, and then that's fine. But as you get more comfortable with the bosses, and what I also found is that if you're in the corner and your character isn't actually going to be able to dash, I find it's easier to start building the stacks as well. And I guess that kind of brings me into what I would say for Damien. If you want to get rid of a lot of the RNG for Damien, one of the major things is hugging the corner whenever the sword is about to land, and making sure that the sword always lands in the corner. That's very important. Because the cleanses are never in the corner, so if you can put the sword in the corner, you have less overlap between the cleanse and the sword, and you give yourself more time to cleanse. And that's going to be very important for the longer runs and for the solos early on, is that you can cleanse. Whenever you have like 3 stacks, I would always just try to get a cleanse, because of the rhythm of the sword and the attacks that are going on. At most, you typically have 1 or 2, at most 3 opportunities to cleanse before you get your 7 stacks. So if you have 2 or 3, that could already be like the last opportunity to cleanse before the whole shit goes sideways. So I would over cleanse in the beginning just to make sure that you don't die and get extra swords, because then it can really go downhill really fast. So you have to get used to kind of like the rhythm of the sword, right? Is like how many times does it flop around, when does it start landing, and as soon as you see the target on yourself, try to go towards the corner of the map, try to get it to land in the corner and then jump out so that it doesn't overlap. And the main other thing, but that's getting fixed soon, hopefully, is that Damien has a lot of lingering hitboxes on the punches and the dives. So whenever he does those, you have to just count like 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, basically. Like count to 3, sometimes even longer, before you approach him again, because you'll just get knocked back, and sometimes you get knocked back into the fire. You take a stack every time, you know, and it just makes the run a whole lot harder. So you have to be a bit more careful with approaching him.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, those are the 2 main things I would say for Damien, and then on top of that, like changing up the rotation a little bit for the burst should optimize that as well. And once you get more used to the rhythm of the sword, you'll also figure out like how do I synchronize that with binding and bursting, right? Because you don't want to start your key down and then immediately when you started like the sword like aha target, and then you have to like dash out of it. You lose a lot of your damage that way, especially if you're in infinity spell. Either do it right after the sword is already landed somewhere else, or you know, if it only just got up and then by the time it lands on you, you'll be able to move out anyway and do Endless Dream from a distance. And I guess the one extra thing you could do a little bit is like up jump and attack for to hit with Devious Dream and Devious Nightmare, because those have different cooldowns, right, in Flora and in Spectra. So you can like up jump attack, hit it, switch, up jump attack, and hit it again. When he's like doing the fireballs downwards, for example, just for a little bit of extra damage. Because by the time he gets down, the cooldowns for those are back as well.
I see.
But the great thing is that, and the main thing, even if your range and your stat and all of that isn't going to go like crazy up anytime real soon, leveling for you is still going to be really, really, really important because of the extra skills. So you're going to have the True Arachnid Reflection, which is a huge amount of damage. You're going to have Overdrive, which helps you on your burst a lot. You're going to have the Goddess Blessing, which is an insane amount of attack, especially once you get the higher tier weapons. And all of these skills working together are going to improve your burst by so much more again. And then, you know, like leveling up your Infinity Spell even more. All of these skills together are going to represent a whole lot extra damage. And also extra button suppress for every single burst, which makes it pretty stressful. But if you can pull it off properly, then it's a lot of damage.
Okay, so there's like 2 more essential skills that are kind of needed for the burst. So Overdrive, isn't Overdrive the one that like also reduces your damage off burst?
Yeah, it does. But it has a pretty short cooldown. Okay. It doesn't last super long when it does that. But like, yeah, you pop it. So yeah, Overdrive is the other one that's like roughly the same cooldown as the terms and conditions and the hyper skill. So like those 3 are like a nice combo together.
And then what does Goddess Blessing do? I don't think I've actually ever used it. I've always like dismantled them or whatever.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. Basically, it gives you it gives you flat attack and a percentage of your total. It's like a weird. It's like the conversion of the passive kind of coming back, right? The beginner skill where like a certain percentage of your weapon attack can be converted by stacking magic attack, and a percentage of the total magic attack can stack up to a total of the percentage of your weapon. So basically what it comes down to is that if you have it maxed, you get 100 weapon attack for 40 seconds, plus, as long as you have enough magic attack for the conversion, up to 150% of your weapon's base attack. So,
holy fuck.
Yeah, basically means that if you have a arcane and you have enough magic attack and like high enough star force on everything, that you get 430 weapon attack for 40 seconds.
Alright, that's pretty nutty. I feel kind of like an idiot now.
So, you know, without tell me I'm an idiot without saying I'm an idiot. So it's like there's quite some benefits there. Let's just keep it at that.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Yeah, it's a huge burst increaser. Yeah.
Another question I had was like, I'm like starting to think of like maybe a second main. So I haven't like really like wondering if I should be opening nodes or not opening nodes. But from the looks of it, I have like 100 something nodes that I haven't opened, and I'm just kind of like looking at them because they look nice. But I should probably just pop all of those and try to max out infinity spells, get some more overdrives and goddess blessings.
Yeah, if you're still enjoying the character, there's still a lot of room for growth, and still a lot of cool stuff that you'll be able to achieve with this character. I guess it depends on what your reason is for wanting to do the side character. If you really feel like you're kind of losing, I mean, the progression will slow down, right? But I think that's one of the cool things about Arc is I think there's always good maps and good areas that you can train in. I could probably stay in Arcana until like 245 or something. I don't know if Celis is really good. But if you stay there and then 245 Moonbridge opens up where they can train very well, and then 250. Most people try to stay in Moonbridge all the way up until 255 or even sometimes even beyond before they have to go to Limina. But Arc has really nice training maps as well in Labyrinth, where nobody really trains anymore at this point. So you can kind of cheese by everyone because you can always have your map available for you with high burn. So that's kind of nice versus having to fight over VC3s where literally everyone and their mom is trying to train right now.
Yeah, that's kind of what I see too. I thought VC3 was like the goated spot.
It is really good, but because it is so good, everyone's there, so it's really tough to get maps. And then up to 255, and then you could do very well in Limina. And I think because we're decently strong class, and because we have these big burst skills, you can kind of rotate between all the big burst skills, and as a result, make it so that you can kind of get your base clear up a lot as long as you rotate properly between Spectra and Flora form. And I've seen some rotations in some maps. It's particularly in Burning Surnium, so that's only 265. But with eye on that, I think Arc always has. We never have any kind of stage where we're super weak. I mean, never also where we're like super duper strong, but we're always like on the upper end. So there's always room there to not really feel, as long as you keep upgrading and keep up with all the dailies and all that stuff. We never really fall off, so, at least not for the foreseeable 30 levels, or 40 levels. So that's a good future prospect.
Oh yeah, in terms of dailies, I'm like, so I have like 1,000 something like arcane power, and I feel like that might be a little too much for the range, because I also look at the progression milestone stage, so I try to hit those. And like I'm like near like the end of the late phase, I believe, or something like that. And I just feel like, is it beneficial for me to keep pushing for arcane power? Because I'm like super pumped to
keep pushing.
I'm like super pumped to finish out what is it, Choo Choo? I don't know why, but for some reason the Choo Choo dailies are like my favorite dailies. But I think I'm almost done with the Vanishing Journey and Choo Choo, and the extra symbols are actually helping a lot now.
Yep.
But I'm just thinking, like, no matter what, like there's no need to ever drop down on the amount of dailies to do, right?
No, yeah, until you max out an area. I would say it's always worth to do the arcane symbols, because you basically, like, the sooner you're done, the better, because then you have more time left over for other stuff.
Yeah, because that's like the first thing I do every time I log in. But I was just wondering how far I am from that point, and I guess I am pretty far.
Well, the one other thing is also, if you look at your current number and you compare to the list, you have to also take into account that that number does not take into account the extra arcane power you might get from a guild, or from a possible title, or from the current event buff, for example.
I see.
So if with all of those things you get like 80, well, that would mean 8 levels, extra, which when you're past 16 or something, that's a lot. Sunlight is shining on my desk. Dang it. I had this thingy that I pop up to block out the reflective sunlight in my face, but what do I do now?
You good?
It's shining. Like, I have a white desk, and then the sunlight just bounces off of it right in my eyes.
Oh yeah.
It just blinds me.
The plastic glare, shit hurts.
I should get curtains, but why do that when I could just makeshift some sun blockage? All right, there we go. That'll have to do.
Yeah, I'm in West Coast right now, and the sun's absolutely just butt fucking like the West Coast. So I actually really appreciate like this time, because this guarantees that the sun's not going to be in like my face this whole time.
Yeah, depending on like how you're set up in your house, could be a bad time. But I guess so that means for the Matrix, But I guess that was kind of to put everything in context with to what extent I think that it's worth like sticking with the character. If you enjoy it, I would say, you know, it's gonna get even better. So I think it's worth spending more time on. But I don't know if in general you were kind of looking for another character for another reason, maybe.
No, I just wanted to like try, like, you know how you're doing like your project CRA stuff. I just kind of wanted to try, like, I should try clearing CRA on like a different class. So I like burned a buck for that reason, because pirates are the best class in my opinion. And I don't know, I've just been playing around with it. It seems kind of fun. But yeah, I mean, I can't imagine pushing it past like what, like 210 or 220, because I feel like that's a lot of time, and I do enjoy playing Arc a lot. So I want to, this, like, I don't know, the whole reason I like scheduled this whole thing is because kind of like I'm gonna start like running out of time to play this game, so I'm like trying to figure out like what should I put all my resources into now. So like because I've been working from home this whole COVID thing, and like COVID's like low key kind of going to be done over here, so I'm gonna start going back to work. So that means no more Golden Ursus time for me for the rest of my fucking life, unless it's like weekends.
There's the second session, right? Pretty late. You can't make.
Yeah,
that
no,
one
that is the only session that I could make, and just because of traffic now, like because everyone's going to work, it's absolutely such a pain to get back. I could usually make it for like the last 10 minutes, but once it's daylight savings, like I get absolutely boned.
Yeah.
And then once it goes back, then I'm usually like, okay, I think I should be able to make this.
Yeah. Well, there's 4-hour sessions, so that might be good for a little bit, but.
Oh, it's 4 hours?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Like, it starts from like
they prolonged it
plus
for
1 to
5, I think. Yeah. 9 p.m. East Coast. Ursus only perk for East Coast.
Yeah, because Ursus for me is like at 5. No, it's at 6. It's at 6.
Yeah. So wait, so your work is like not working from home immediately, like just immediately cutting it off?
Yeah, I think they're trying to call it off on Labor Day, and that's like when they're gonna be like, all right, let's bring every single remote worker back in now, which I guess would be nice, because it's like working from home for like a year kind of gets to your head for a while, but it also does prevent MapleStory gains from happening.
Yeah, it's a gain and a loss. I mean, I was talking with my neighbors as well, because stuff is opening back up here as well. I think starting this week, stuff is opening up more and more. I think it makes sense that a lot of companies kind of, because I think a lot of businesses didn't really want to try allowing more people to work from home, because, well, what if it fails? It's a bunch of investment, you know, you have a bunch of problems along the way. But because of COVID, every company basically had to try, right? They had to try to do it. And now I hope that a lot of companies who invested money in it now want to make, you know, with, you know, all of the systems and of communications and all of that, hopefully that they want to keep that investment rolling and keep making money off of that investment, and also see that the productivity in certain regions of the, not like of the country, but like of the company, might have actually gone up as a result. And I hope that they go to like hybrid setups where people can choose whether to work from home or to work at the office, or do like 2 days at the office, 3 days home, or vice versa, whatever works for people. Because from what I heard, a lot of the productivity in a lot of branches actually went up because of people working from home. And I could imagine, especially where you are, if the traffic is such a nightmare, the fact that that extra hour in the morning and or even more that you have to spend in traffic, if you can spend that time just, you know, logging into a Zoom call from home instead, I feel like that saves people, the companies, just so much money and so much time. Yeah, well. Hope they don't blindly just rush back, you know, is what I'm saying, I guess.
Yeah.
Or if they do, that they hit some kind of wall and be like, oh shit, our productivity goes down compared to last month. Maybe there was something to that working from home thing.
Yeah, it's not too bad for me. I don't know. I don't know how we started talking about this, but
well, my fault, we want you to get more Ursus time.
Yeah, more Ursus time. More Ursus time.
But yeah, so what you meant to say was like that your time that you're gonna have to allocate to the game is gonna change, right? And it was as a result. And I guess does that kind of mean that as a result you were looking for more progress in width than in depth in the game?
Yeah, with that in mind, like I said, like I can imagine hitting like within my lifetime 250, maybe 260. Don't know if I could ever hit 275. I don't know if my cojones are that big for that yet. But I think like within the time, like just playing off and on without event and like on the occasional weekend, I just want to like be able to, because I think the only thing that I consistently do is weekly bosses, because this game of course implements a system where you have to clear your weekly bosses now for that neocore stuff. So I've been doing that pretty consistently. But other than that, if I have the time to grind and like farm and get mesos, I'll do it, but most often than not I don't. So like that's where like my biggest thing is like the potential thing too. Like if I get the funds, what should I dump my funds into? This is the first time I've ever gotten to like anything past 15 star before. So I'm kind of like I'm sure the jump after 17 stars is pretty ridiculous. So I don't really know what be like pushing my funds into other than like a new character maybe. But I feel like if I don't really like want to main a second character, I should just dump it into my actual main and actually
and if you don't have time to even play it, then you'd rather speed up on your main, right? There's definitely a time, and that time is at different stages for everyone, where you consider, well, what about the extra what about reallocating your time and your funds to a second character, the amount of, you know, percentage-wise, how much stronger you can make a second character versus making money back from it. If there's another class you really love, I would definitely say like just give that character a chance as well. There's definitely a point where, you know, people start making sure that every single equip has like double line legendary when it's 22 stars. Like when you're at that point, you could be funding like your entire account all the way to 250, being able to do hard lucid and hard will before it's actually beneficial, I think, to throw that kind of money on. But some people are just that dedicated to one character. Where that line is exactly kind of depends on what kind of content you want to participate in. I'm gonna guess that if you are able to do like hard lucid and hard will, you'd be pretty satisfied with that as like a goal for this character, I'm guessing.
I think a goal for me would be, what is it? I don't know what the bosses are called, but the ones after that, after Will, it's like Dark Knell, Varus Hilla. Maybe not Varus Hilla, but the Dark Knell fight looks pretty cool, so I kind of want to try clearing Dark Knell maybe once in my life. Either like probably like in a party.
Tenebra's bosses, Gloom, Dark Knell, Varus Hilla.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun to like participate in those bosses, but I mean, I can't imagine myself going anywhere past that. I just want to hear the background music and actually like understand the mechanics and be like, oh yeah, I actually know how to play my arc and clear this boss over here now.
Yeah, it is satisfying when you clear. It's also a very frustrating boss fight because it's, oh god, if you think there's a lot of RG and Damien, then
oh
bad
my
news
god.
for you. It's kind of like you're fighting 5 Damiens and then an Uber Damien at the same time, because he's like summoning those elite bosses the whole time, throwing attacks out, which are basically like mini Damiens, like phasing in and out, doing weird attacks, having weird hitboxes, you know. It's almost
that's
like
sick as fuck.
Yeah, so I guess kind of to circle back on like spending the funds and everything, I think there's a bright future for Arc. There's definitely a lot of room for growth. You can reach it with Arc. Like we have a lot of burst, we have a lot of damage, good survivability, good mobility that helps us with both the survivability and with just being functional for training, which gives you opportunity to train in other maps that maybe a lot of other people don't have, which means you can more gradually and more reliably get your levels up with your totems and everything. When it comes to star forcing and the potential and everything, there's definitely a balance between the two that's useful. So there are a bunch of deciding factors there. The deciding factors are like which equip is it, how long are you going to keep it, and if you go for higher star force, are you going to star force on the item itself, or are you going to star force on a lower level item and then transfer it over, which will overwrite the potential, right? All of these factors kind of decide whether you go higher or not on than what you currently have. So the things we have to take into account is like access to droplets from event shops and from training, and if moving into Arcane is in the foreseeable future. For Arc, it's very important, right? Because the base attack of your weapon decides 3 skills. It decides your first job passive, which isn't, or your beginner passive, which isn't that crazy, but it decides your overdrive, how much attack you gain from that, and the Goddess Blessing, how much attack you gain from that. So the arcane weapon, as a result, is for Arc is very very powerful to get, not just for itself, but also for the effect on the other skills that it has.
I see.
And
So,
if you can get into full arcane, and how quickly you can do that, that will then inform like how hard you go on your Abzo, and how hard you go on your Abzo, and do that. That will inform how hard you need to go on all the other equips, and how hard do you need to push the other equips, and how hard you need to push the other equips will determine, well, do you do it on the item themselves or on a lower tier one, and then that will inform how hard you go on your potential. You see how that's all kind of like accordion, like dominoed together. Yeah.
And at the top of it's the arcane weapon. Oh my fucking god.
Yeah, because that's like the overarch. That's more the long-term, time-consuming thing, right? And the access to that is more. You have more cyclical access to that. Like you have standard access based on how much you train, but then like the event shops give a huge influx. The new shop is set to give you 900 droplet access. So that's basically. If you think that's reasonable for you to be able to buy all of those, that means that you have full set arcane coming this winter, and then you basically want to make sure that everything around, everything else is like centered around that, on like how are we going to facilitate that, and as a result, how much are we going to invest in other stuff with that on the horizon, basically.
Jeez. So wait, so it's actually possible to hit full set arcane this winter?
If you have enough money, yeah, you can just brute force it. With the event shop.
Jeez. Yeah, because I like crunched the numbers and I saw like how many droplets I would need, and I have like not even 100, and that's actually like pathetically small.
Here it says 42 and 7, but maybe you bought some with the core so far, or I don't know if you can already buy them. You might have to wait a few more days, right?
Yeah, I don't have enough of the base level. I think I need like 5,000, and then it's 10,000, 15,000 or something.
Yeah, so even with that, you can kind of let that inform, do you even need to go super hard on this current event, right? If your main goal right now is to try to get, I want to get as many droplets as possible to maybe get one item, but then you can, if you don't have enough for one item, and you're going to need to get all of them when winter ends up anyway, then you might as well just save all your money, bundle out all your money, see if you can get better rates in the meantime, make all the money back with some extra, and then just go hard on winter and try to make the full switch, something like that.
I see. But that's probably going to require a lot of fucking mesos.
Yeah.
Like, what,
I mean, they're 50 mil each.
Drop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the total you need is 648, I believe. Yep. So it's like 30...
Total droplets?
30... Yeah, total droplets to buy like the whole... one whole set, so it's 32.4 bill, and just buying the droplets, and then all the money to upgrade and everything on top of that. So more of them you get right now, so you can kind of count every droplet you get right now as a 50 mil drop.
That makes sense. Holy cow, though, that's so money.
Yep, it's a lot of training, a lot of grinding. Okay. So if that's something that you think will be achievable, so I mean, you probably have a bunch of time to buy it out as well. So this is like something that you want to be able to afford by like January, right? So this is like a long time from now. If you think that's possible, that means that we don't go too hard on Abzo. That means we probably use Star Force events whenever they exist to kind of push the CRA gear, because that's where you have the most backups. And that probably means that potential-wise, on the items that you're going to push themselves, you want to roll at least like that 21% that you mentioned. Maybe, try to go for some 24s on accessories, because those have lower amount of junk lines. So comparatively, those are cheaper to roll on. And then Abzo, we'll try to like not touch the Abzo basically until we absolutely have to, right? Because that's the first thing that's going to go out. If you can make the weapon before then, with droplets from shops, with droplets from bosses, and by clearing enough lucids, that's probably a good move to get that injection of damage, to make sure that the lucid and the will clears, that gets done fast, make sure that you have a very high baseline of damage so you can move on to the next areas very quickly, because it is a lot of weapon attack that you'll be gaining. And then once you have the weapon to center around, everything else should kind of fall into place, and you should be seeing that like low 30k stat. You should be seeing like the 32, 33-ish K stat coming in, and then
Okay.
then you can make like the big decisions. But by that time, you've given yourself more time to build backups, and then you just go by backups, right? Like let's say you have a bunch of Dineros built up, like okay, I'm gonna do Eye and Face and try to get those to like to 20 or to 21, or you just go 1 star at a time, try to get everything to 18. If anything blows up, you bring it back, everything to 19, something like that.
I
But
see.
you'll have more chance to be like, okay, maybe I got like 3 superior belt backups, and be like, okay, now I can just Star Force on the superior belt, and if it booms, just replace it with a superior belt, and then be done. Maybe you only have 1 backup, then okay, you check other items. Maybe you have a bunch of earrings backup, or maybe you have a bunch of Kana treasure rings by then, and then you can go higher on the rings, right? You get lucky on a ring, oh, maybe you can make a second one and transfer hammer into the superior ring. So that's kind of how you, by spacing out the upgrades and by starting with what you have most backups on, you give yourself more time for the more rare items to also build up backups. And then whatever comes forth as this is now lower risk, then that's what you divert your funds to at that point. And you just go by it like 1 event at a time. You go like, oh, there's a 30% off. Okay, stuff that I'm going to transfer hammer over, prep that to 15 during 30% off, and just sit on that. There's a 5, 10, 15. Okay, see if there's any item I can push. If there is, either push 1 item or do like CRA, do like 1 star each, move to the next one, 1 star each. And then, if you run out of money, you run out of money. Maybe you have like 1 19 star, 1 18 star, 1 17 star, something like that. That could be possible. And so that's basically how you let the RNG of the game decide where you go. But the more you're on top of it, and the more you do your dailies, the more freedom you will have to, because you can kind of force the hand of the RNG to give you more rolls, and then based on those extra rolls you get to hopefully get more options.
Okay. And then, I guess building off of that, when would like a good time to transition out of the boss accessory set be? Because I have like I know like Golix is on its way, and I crunched the numbers, and I should have it in like the superior set in like 2 to 2.5 months maybe, if I'm able to run it every day. And then what is it? At that point, I feel like you're supposed to swap into the superior Golix set and have the Sweetwater pendant and eye like at the same time. Is that right?
So typically the eye in the face, and whether you get the pendant or not will depend on if you get a Dominator with a nice flame and transpose that.
Yeah, ever since I for some reason all the Dominators I got were within 1 week.
They
so
cluster,
I've been like
right?
anytime. Yeah, it was weird. Like I went like 8-9 months, almost like a year without like getting any Dominators, and then I just got like 4 of them in a row.
I've noticed that. Yeah,
but
with primals happens as well. You don't see them forever, and then you suddenly get like 3 in a row, and then you never get them
I've never
again.
gotten a primal yet, and I'm still running it just to see if it drops.
You're waiting for that cluster to hit.
Yeah. But yeah, what I've been doing is I've just been throwing like random eternal flames onto the worst flame that I have on the Dominator, and just like keep going up from there, see if it gets better over time.
Yeah, that's a thing to do for sure. Yeah, so like the switch, like you said, like you basically switch out a boss accessory once you can complete the superior Golix set. That's basically the green light to be like, okay, let's move on. And then the monocle and the tattoo is typically also what comes in then. And then whether it's like at the point where all of that stuff is 17 and all of that stuff is, like legendary 2-line. That's when you want to look at towards transposing for the pendant as well, so that you're because then your set is like the two pendants will be like 1 superior, 1 transposed. You can start transposing, right? Or like start flaming it. It doesn't mean that you're immediately going to get the transpose before anything else happens, right? It might still be a process because some people get lucky with the flame, some people get unlucky with the flame. So make sure you get it. You can get it 16 star, and again for those kind of things, it's just like it's a long-term project. So there's a 30% off. Try to get 1 to 15. There's a 5 to 15. Like bump it to 16. All the while slowly work on the flame, something like that. And then once you hit it, you commit. If you don't hit it, then you just commit to other pieces instead.
Okay. And then I guess another question I have is the link skills.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I have a decent amount of class. I'm on like 5K Legion now. It's a little outdated because Kanye came out, and
Mm-hmm.
that's been super easy to level for some reason.
I heard it's the mobbing is pretty doable.
Dude,
What I heard, yeah.
it's it's like, I think it's 2 or 3 key presses away from being as brain dead as Adele, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I can't play Adele. I can't do it. It hurts my soul too much. Like, yeah, at least Arc is nice because you push more than like 2 buttons.
Yep, for sure.
But I think for the Legion, I like made like a little spreadsheet of all the ones that I've cleared and the ones I haven't. If you scroll down.
Yeah, so some colors.
Yeah. So I just wanted to figure out like what's the ideal link skill setup when I'm trying to like clear bosses, because I feel like a lot of a few of them are pretty whack, like the ones that I have on right now. But that's like what I thought was the best right now.
Mm-hmm. So if you're that's a bossing setup. If you have if you're bossing, you put this on.
Yeah, when I'm bossing, I put it on.
And if you calculate, go on.
I hate training mages, like adventure mages. So I feel like the empirical knowledge, even though it's there, I don't know how much, because I know that that link skill and the adventure link thieves link skill like pair together, so that's like a small damage increase. But the IED is like pretty much non-existent, and it's using up a whole slot in the link skill, so I like feel kind of weird about it.
Yeah, it's 9%, but you can't see it. It's an on-hit effect, so you can't see it in your window. You're familiar with the visible and the functional IED?
Yeah, I think visible, or I punched it into the functional calculator like months ago. But I know how to use it and like punch my numbers in there, and I think I should be, from what I did last time, I think I should be over the 93% functional.
Well, I see 96 here when you're buffed, so.
Oh yeah, that's like full buff, full burst, like big dick swinging at that time.
Is it with familiars as well?
Yeah, that's with familiars.
Because one of the things, and especially when you build out your Legion, is that you're going to be moving those pieces into Legion and out of the middle of the grid. And at that point, what it'll give you is freedom to move your link skills around and away from the because you're like just the empirical knowledge, like just the 9% doesn't do that much, but then basically Bravado and Rin's Blessing are just giving you 10% ID at this point, and those slots are kind of expensive. So eventually, what you want to try to do is get enough crit to not need Phantom Instinct, but instead work on get the Beast Tamer link, so that your crit comes from that, and then also gives you boss damage. And then
I think with the event with the Neocores, I don't need to use Phantom Instinct, so I put it in there for now. And then for empirical knowledge, even if it's only at level 2, does it actually still give you 9? I thought it was like 3%.
Yeah, now it doesn't. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So eventually, if you're party bossing, you would want to go to this setup, but you would switch out Keen Edge, Rin's Blessing, and Bravado for other stuff. So you'd throw in the Kinesis link. That one's useful. The Kadena link. And that's why the Empirical Blessing is Empirical Knowledge is so nice, because it also lets you trigger the Kadena link for an extra 6% damage. And God, I'm so bad. I always forget link skills. For some reason, that's like my blind spot. There's definitely one. The Demon Slayer, right? Yeah, Demon Slayer for like 15 or 20% extra boss damage as well. So those three you definitely want to move in there. And then if you're team fighting, you'll have the Noble Fire, and then if you're soloing, you can switch that one out for something else that gives a bit more. That's like the one flexible one. And then when you get stronger and it's more about whether you clear or not, you can move some of the lower damaging links out and replace them with more survivability, just to make sure that you make it to the end of the boss fight. You'll unironically throw in some Cygnus Blessing, some Close Call, maybe even the Warrior link, just to make sure that you. It's like a it's like a bumpy ride. In the beginning, you want as much you want survivability because you need to learn the mechanics and you don't want to die out immediately. Then when you know the mechanics, you want to get more damage so you can kill faster. And then when you know you can definitely kill, you want to get more survivability again because it'd be silly to die out on something that you know you can kill as long as you just have enough time in the boss fight. So the utility and the necessity for the link skills kind of fluctuates in that manner.
Okay. And I guess another question is, we just like recently had a Mag Soul event.
Yeah.
So I got a Mag Soul from Pink Bean that's like, I don't think you can see it, but it's on it's like a +1 all skills or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I know that arc like has a lot of skills, so I was wondering like, is decent combat orders having the +1 soul like beneficial at all, or are there like better souls, or is there like a ranking of mag souls that you want to get on an arc, or does it not matter at all? Because I think the +1 would be an extra like a little bit of final damage on all skills, wouldn't it?
You think you could double check in your window, but I'm pretty sure the soul does not go over cap. It only works to get things to the max, not past the max. The only two things that do that is decent combat orders and real combat orders, and the inner ability skill of all passive skills +1. Those go over the max, but the weapon one just goes up to max.
So this is absolutely just dead weight.
Yeah. Yeah, it works for Beast Tamer, for example, right? Because you have so many skills and then you don't max them, but then they max out through the buff. But for Arc, it wouldn't do anything now. So there is kind of a ranking. Typically, people just look for the 3% attack. That seems to be the one that just, just adds the most raw damage. But beggars can be choosers, and you don't get too many lines. So I think the second best would be the 12% crit rate.
Because that would eliminate the link stuff.
Yeah, that or move around things in your grid. A lot of people like the 7% boss damage more. The 7% IED is obviously not super useful because we already have so much IED with everything going on. The 7% boss damage also right now comparatively isn't as good because we have so much percentage damage in total, right? You already see that you're approaching 600 and probably with some extra buffs you go even beyond that. And therefore there's reduced efficiency. When the switch comes from the damage towards final damage for reboot, the boss damage will pick up again. But the main reason that 12% critical rate is better is because one square in your Legion block for boss damage is 1%, and one square in critical rate is also 1%. So these are just completely interchangeable, basically. So you're basically just comparing a 12 to a 7. So 12 is just way better. So I run a 12, and with everything for me going on, I don't have any crit rate in my hyper skills or in my link skills. I don't have any crit there, and I still hit over 100 crit even without my familiars and without the Neo Force. So that's just from the grid because I have 8k. So if you don't have enough grid, then you might need to get a little bit from the hyperstats, and maybe one from the link skills. But yeah, so that could definitely be a second out that could help you set up properly. Because right now you still have you're pretty invested into the crit rate, right?
Not really on the arc. I mean, I guess it's just the Phantom Link skill, but I mean the 20% crit. I mean, it's like a free 30% with what is it? The
decent sharp eyes and the
decent skill.
Bullet.
Yeah.
Well, but you still have level 9 in your hyper stats as well, right? Although I guess it's not super expensive.
Yeah, I guess I could pull some of it out, right, and dump it in somewhere else. I put 11 onto IED, and I felt very wrong because I used a lot of hyper stat points.
Yeah, well, I mean, going past 10 will always feel wrong because it's so expensive.
But other than like crit damage, crit rate, and IED, I don't really know what else I would dump the points into that seems like worth the amount of hyper stats.
I mean, damage and boss are still good. It gives you a lot of damage. Boss damage gives you 4% for one line. So that's quite nice. Yeah, as long as you meet the requirement for the arcane power for the whatever you're killing, yeah, you just. I guess that's another thing, yeah, for the IED. It's not bad to go pretty high on the IED, but you did the functional comparison, right?
Yeah. And that's how I learned you can get IED from Ambition, which is why it's the only one thing I maxed out.
Yeah, because I'm thinking even if you drop those 2 link skills now and just pop a lot of damage instead, like the Demon Slayer link is gonna give you a nice little boost there. Don't know if you have a Demon Slayer, but
no, I made a Demon Avenger, and then after 140, I realized 140 to 141 actually hurt my soul. But I heard Demon Slayer is pretty easy though. I've tried it out.
Yep. Yeah, they're both very solid, very good. Like a lot of damage just from those 2. If you get them both level 3, you get a total of 41% damage just from the 2.
Yeah, that's kind of nutty.
Pretty busted, yeah.
Trying to see what other questions I had. I guess flames, but you've explained flames so many times. I like listening to your progression sessions when I go to sleep, and I feel like you always talk about flames in the first like 10-15 minutes. I've heard them over and over. So yeah, you don't have to you don't have to explain flames to me. I know what tiers mine are, and I want to like figure it all out.
Yeah, it's something you kind of just do on the side when you're working on all the other stuff. All the other stuff we mentioned, it's important to be prepped for that and to have a big plan for that because you're cycling on and off events, right? But for flames, there's no event, so you kind of just do that on the side as you're going. And once your equips are really settled and it's like, these equips are the ones I'm going to hold for a long time, then you start flaming. And the main thing is going to be, you know, when the arcane stuff comes in.
Yeah.
You know, like flaming on your weapon could probably make some gains in the short term, because right now it's kind of like I don't know, it's like the 10% boss is kind of fixing the potential a little bit, and the 55 and 4 is kind of like if it was another arcane piece, or another Abso piece, but the main thing you want is the chunk of weapon attack, right?
Yeah, there's no weapon attack on it, which is whack as fuck. And then I guess once I get Goddess Blessing and Overdrive, that's going to be a big player too.
Well, they look at the base attack of your weapon, so it's not as
base
big
attack?
of a... Yeah, base attack is what they look at, yeah. I wish they looked at total. That would be really nice for the scaling. But yeah, might not be super priority based on everything, but if you know how the flame scores work and how everything compares, again, you're going to be looking at the things that you keep the longest, right, to min-max on those flames first. And just make sure that you don't kind of get trapped into using a flame just because you have one, because the chance of making your item better is, you know, goes down the better the flame is, right? So if it's like a 2 or 3% chance to get a better flame and you only have one flame, sometimes it's better to just let it expire than to actually use it, because you're just gonna feel bad after using it most of the time. But that's the time to throw it on a Dominator, I guess.
When you're flaming, do you just kind of like just do a bunch of like daily bosses, weekly bosses? They occasionally drop flames, and then you just kind of throw it on to see if it gets better or not. If you have like a couple, like a little stockpile of them.
Yeah, I usually group them up.
Strat?
Yeah, I usually group them up, and then if I have an item that I'm working, I kind of know which item I'm currently working on, because it's the item with where you can make the most gains, right?
Yeah.
And then I just throw them on. If I almost am out of flames and I have a flame that's about the same as what I had, or maybe a little bit worse, but it's like around the same, then I usually just stop and wait until I have another batch. If it's absolute shit, I can just keep going until I use all of them. Or if I improve, I just move on to the next item. That's usually how I do it.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't been flaming too hard yet, because I feel like my main focus is trying to get to 17 star, fix my potential lines, and then like I said, I heard the flame system's pretty whack to get like to fixate on early on.
Yeah. Yeah, some people just get some from the event shops, right? And then they use a little bit, hopefully get something nice on a weapon and maybe 1 or 2 other pieces. And then they kind of just wait until they get there a few per week, and then kind of wait until the next event shop until they do something with flames. That's pretty standard now.
Okay. Well, that's like, I think that's like on my little list of questions. That's pretty much everything.
So you're fine. I guess we can just kind of go over all this stuff and make sure. So for the long term, what would you say that with everything, what kind of plan do you think is realistic for you for the arcanes and moving into that?
Moving into that, I definitely will be getting some droplets over time, and from the looks of it, maybe every event that comes out now is going to have droplets.
Yeah,
which should be kind of cool.
the big shops.
And if that were the case, yeah, if that were the case, I probably won't go so ham just to get 900 droplets this winter, but probably get them when I can afford them. And then get the weapon first, move into Arcane. I don't think I'll be able to move into Arcane by the end of this year, but probably move into Arcane hopefully end of next year, which would be kind of cool. And then hopefully by then I'll be cool enough to enter some normal will parties and Dark Nail stuff maybe if I make it that far.
I think you can do normal will before then. That's mostly going to depend on your level. I think it might be, if you can get the weapon, you can definitely get into the hard will and lucid parties, I would say. But like before you want to go do like Dark Nail and Versil and those guys, that's probably when you want to be into full Arcane, I would say.
Okay.
Like in 17-star Arcane, because you will get more, like a lot more damage from your levels, right? You will get a lot more arcade power. There will be some power creep stuff creeping in. There will be leveling up of your skills, and there will be Star Force events and going higher on accessories and on CRA and stuff. So taking all of that into account, there is going to be still growth besides moving into Arcane or not.
Alright. That makes a lot of sense.
I guess what are you touching on? Oh yeah, so you're just wanted to roll over these things. So you're kind of aware what next to work on for Legion and Lynx, right?
Yeah, so what's kind of really nice is I have a younger brother who likes to play Maple too. So I'd say like I don't want to take credit for like all the grinding he's done on these lower level characters, but I just kind of told him 140 would be nice please, and he's just kind of just does it.
Okay, remember account sharing is against TOS, so don't spread that around too much.
Okay.
Just so you don't get into any trouble, okay?
Oh fuck. Okay.
So wait, so you're by older brother you mean your twin brother who was like 3 seconds younger, who actually looks exactly like you, who's actually you
yeah.
on an off day, right? Yeah. So but yeah, as long as you kind of have the order of what next character to do, you'll have that you have that figured out, then slow, steady progress on that. You're already past 5.5. You get a bunch of extra characters to put in your Legion, and then once you get to 6, you get the full board available, which is really good and really bad at the same time. It feels really good to have access to the full board. It also feels really bad to see how much room there is and how few pieces you can actually only put on the board, and it feels really empty. But like 8K is a very, very long term arduous process, so yeah, not gonna throw that on your plate, but 5.5 would be really nice, and 6K would be really solid. But definitely make sure that once you get into those bigger realms that you move completely away from the middle and just abandon attack and strength completely. Just basically make a straight line through the middle from one side to the other, and then focus on crit damage, crit rate if you need to, but predominantly boss damage, and then IED, and that's just where all of your pieces will go.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm at 5K right now, and that extra like 5% like crit damage or 10% crit damage is huge. But yeah, I'm not too worried about Legion. I still haven't played every single class in the game, so that's like a small like.
They just keep adding them too.
Yeah, they just keep adding them.
Another
like
one.
41 now.
47, I think.
40. Jesus Christ. Okay.
Yeah. And then 48 is on the way.
Yeah, so I usually when there's a Terror Burn, I just kind of do Terror Burn, whatever, like, what I think would be kind of fun to play. So I think on the next Terror Burn, because there's 2.
Yep.
I kind of want to try Blaster because I want to actually feel what it feels like for these poor Blaster mains I see, like level 240 plus. But other than that, I just kind of like just pick up classes, play them. I'm not too worried about it.
Okay. Yeah, or on your off day when you're feeling kind of out of it, you play a separate character. Yeah, okay, we talked about moving to the new equip sets. Yeah, definitely the symbol daily is very important. That's just gonna, because that's a bunch of stat there as well, right? You can get up to 13.2k stat, so that's another 2.7 just from finishing off the symbols. That's that adds up. And then once the equips are like all 17 stars, the 2.5 line, prioritizing the items with lower junk lines. So that's like the heart and the accessories, and then into the items that you will Star Force on that you won't transfer to, then those will be a little bit those will be next on the list, basically.
Yeah.
A lot of it is going to be just going really ham on the weapon, trying to get really good potential there, and really, the 17 star is going to cost money, obviously, with safeguarding, but getting a good flame there is going to be very important. But I guess the powerhouse is like your weapon, secondary, and emblem, right?
Yeah.
And it's very easy to get lines that are decent, but it's hard to get lines that are really good. And that's the tricky part. I probably aim for like before you go beyond 2 lines on your equips, so before you go past like 21% or 24% or whatever you have there, or I guess 23 on Arcane or Abzo, I'll probably aim to get the emblem to at least 21. 21% attack, and the the secondaries are it's so annoying where they're at, because but you can probably reroll the path first, right?
Yeah, I could reroll the path.
Well, they're both paths. I mean, the Princess No Path, I mean,
yeah, the Princess No Path. I mean, they're pretty much exactly the fucking same.
Yeah.
Except the stupid ID.
Yeah. But, yeah, because the ID isn't super necessary. I think the Princess No Path, just mass rolling on that, probably a good idea. Hope you get lucky like I did on my Princess No Path. That was really cool of mine to roll like that very quickly. But, yeah, the WSE is like the powerhouse, but since the weapon is hopefully on the way, but yeah, take a while, of course, until you get the arcane weapon. But the Lucid, you're gonna have to be clearing Lucid for a while, right, before you can afford that. That gives you a lot of time to make the droplets, and then once you have that, it's gonna be the main thing to spend the money on. But yeah, if you could, even if you could get just two lines of attack, that would already make it nicer to mob with the Princess No Path, and then just boss with the Frozen Path, for example.
Yeah, that would be true.
But that could also be the stage where you like then roll the other one. It kind of depends on how good the roll is. If you want to kind of frog leap one over the other, to move from one to the other for the different functions, and then eventually have one that you can use everywhere, or keep it the same. Because when you get to the very high level areas, and with the change, you know about the change, right, to the reboot passive?
No. So, what is this?
Well, you know the reboot passive, you get 1% damage every 2 levels. So there's like a huge chunk of percentage damage that we have because of that. They're changing that to a final damage buff instead, based on your level rank, basically. Well, there's like a range of levels, and within that range you get a certain amount of final damage instead, which basically means because when you're bossing, your damage and your boss damage gets thrown into one big pile, and then the more you have of it, you get kind of diminishing returns there. Some classes just have way more percentage damage than others, so giving the reboot passive a bunch of percentage damage kind of doesn't help certain classes as much as it helps others, so that felt a little bit unfair. So with this change, they want to make it more, because final damage is just whatever damage you do multiplied by a factor. That makes it more fair for all the classes as a general boost. So that means comparatively, characters who have very high percentage damage now, those will comparatively gain a bigger increase from this, and that will scale better. Their innate percentage damage will scale better than classes who have very low percentage damage, basically, because they're more of their final damage right now is coming from the reboot passive compared to someone who already has a lot of damage. And Arc is one of the classes that has probably one of the most total percentage damage of all the classes in the game. So that will help us, comparatively will help us more. And it will also mean that lines of percentage damage, or boss damage specifically, right? Those are the big chunks of damage, will comparatively be more useful than they are now, and probably be about equivalent to lines of attack, which, if you're looking at rolling potential on your weapon and your secondary specifically, gives you more outs of combinations of lines that are actually best in slot or really close to best in slot. So that should make it cheaper on average also to roll really good potential on those. So it's no longer going to be necessary to be like, oh, you need like 3 lines attack on everything, otherwise your WSE is shit, because that's so expensive, right? But it's going to be like, oh, if one of those lines is a line of boss, which already gives you 3 more outs, or even more, that will make it way more accessible to get what is viable for end game when it comes to weapon, secondary, and emblem potential.
Okay.
So that's a good stuff coming for us basically. But you keep that in mind when you're rolling. That it's not like, oh, I hit 2 line of attack on one boss. It's not perfect. That pretty much means that it's about as good as perfect. Once that change goes
time
through.
to age.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it needs to like grow into its clothes, I guess. But yeah, keep that in mind for WSE for the long term.
Okay, yeah.
And in the same way, like getting boss damage lines or stuff like that on familiars as well, right? Later, once you get into Moonbridge and you train there, you can get a lot of familiars, and you start throwing those around and fusing those together. That's when that's when the boss lines will also still be pretty useful. Whereas now you're like, okay, I'm stacking over 1000% damage. You're getting some diminishing returns quite hard. But then when the change comes and all the final damage comes instead, that should make sure that those outs for familiars are also still very valuable.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I hear. Like familiars you want to bust your ass to like 245 for Moonbridge as fast as you can, so you can get the familiar stuff going.
Yeah, you're gonna have to be fusing a lot. Some people get very lucky, get them very quickly. If you can get a large drop rate early, that's really nice because then you can just fast track how many familiars you get, and then that fast tracks everything else. If you don't, it's fine. But yeah, the boss damage ones or big chunks of IED can temporarily help you a lot as well. That means maybe you can move everything. Maybe you can move some hyper stats around. Maybe you can move some Legion block. Some Legion pieces around, right? Maybe even a Link skill around. Just depending on what you get. You just see the whole thing as like one flexible puzzle, right? And if you get a large chunk on one end, that means you can move something around on another end. And if you really want to super optimize, there's like a giant calculator that you can use, right? And that takes a lot of work. But I wouldn't really do that until you're kind of settled in your level and you know you're not going to be leveling much soon, because you don't want to have to redo all of your hyperstats every level. It's a huge drag.
Yeah, that would be butthole.
Yeah, it's just that. Yeah.
Okay, well, I feel like I have a decent like short-term plan, long-term plan. What I should be upgrading next, and what I should be when I grind what I'm grinding for now.
Oh, one thing I would do. I just saw this. Your hyper stats. I would level up your Swift Creeping Terror.
Oh, for the cooldown thing?
Yeah, it's extra access for iframe, so it gives you more survivability and more flexibility on using it in bosses. And it's also just a giant map AoE full clear that you can tap more. I think it's the way to go. I probably take it instead of the boss rush arts, probably.
Okay, so take it off boss, put it in there for more cooldown and less deaths.
Yeah, it's for the harder bosses. Yeah, it comes into, because it does so much of your damage as well. Because like right now, when the damage cap went up, that skill hits the hardest of all of my skills. Like I did 36 bill lines, I think, with it. When you full boosted with your boost nodes, it's a gnarly damage. So if you can use it a bit more, it helps you with your burst as well, right? You just cycle it into the burst. You can use it in the beginning, use it in the end. Yeah, it's really good.
Okie dokes, yeah. That's a quick, easy change.
Yep. Yeah, there's definitely some optimizing in the Link skills. Familiars will come online soon. Training. You feel in some fresh energy, some rejuvenation?
Oh yeah, dude. I love playing this game. I was like solo playing this for so long, and then because in my head, I don't know where I heard this, but I was like, I can't join a guild unless I'm level 210. But I was like making so many other characters, and this character's fucking older than some fucking toddlers and like elementary school kids. I'm pretty sure, because I think this guy's the very first Terror Burn that ever came out, and then I got him to like 200 something, and then apparently they gave you the perma CRA stuff, and after watching your videos, I was like, oh, CRA is actually like really hard gear to get and reboot by yourself. So I was like, well, I guess I'll make this my main, and ever since then I've just been playing it forever.
I think, yeah, I just felt it's a very satisfying class. You put more time in, it just gets a lot stronger. Yeah,
no, it's sick. I just like that, like, what is it, just clearing the entire map and you're just flying around for a while.
Yeah. Abyssal Recall, you're just like floating.
Is there a way to turn off the animation, by the way?
You just, I don't know. I guess you just turn up the transparency to the max, but I think if you're a female arc, you don't get the animation or something because it's.
I just feel bad for party members because I'm in this whole like animation thing.
Oh no, they can't see it. No, they can only see it if you have your own skill visibility and then you have party member skill visibility. So as long as they turn the party members off, then they can't see all of your shit going on. If they turn it on, they will see the whole thing. Yeah, and that's definitely disruptive to say the least.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much everything, dude.
All right.
That's like, this is dope.
Okay. Well, I'm glad I was able to put everything a little bit into perspective, give you some more sense of direction.
Yeah, I can see what I should be doing now for long-term stuff now.
All right, cool. Well, I hope your work works out and you don't get those monster commutes and all that stuff, because that's nightmare.
All right. Well, yeah. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
I guess I'll catch you in the chat room when I got some questions coming up.
Yeah, for sure. You're welcome. Yeah, I'll always be available for that. So let me know whenever there's anything and to hang out in chat. I'll see you there.
Yeah, sweet. Thanks a lot.
All right, no problem. See ya.
See ya.
Boom. Got him. All right. Yeah, as we've seen recently, someone who watches a lot of the videos so has figured out a lot of things already for themselves, so we don't have to go as in depth with all of the individual specific commands and systems, which helps us dig a little bit deeper, dive a little bit deeper into the specifics and into balance with everything, and get more straight to the equips. Of course, if some of these things that we mentioned, you're like, wait, what is flames? What are flame scores even? What is all that about? How do you use transfer hammer properly? All of that. If commands for all of those things in my chat, so just join my Twitch chat. Use exclamation mark in front of whatever you're looking for information for. If it doesn't pop up, ask someone in chat or use exclamation mark commands. That has all of the available commands in the channel, which is I think about 200 at this point. And there's just a lot of information there that'll help you kind of figure out the general, just the gist of everything, so you can kind of have an idea that when something comes out, you can consider the if something new comes out, you consider how that will impact the existing stuff already, right? You can kind of like think ahead, like, oh wait, this connects to this other thing. Like, what if the availability of flames changes drastically and we have a certain flame score that we go for? Does this mean that we aim for higher flame scores? Because the flame score that we aim for is based on the availability of flames and how much it costs to buy flames, right? So depending on these things, it'll give you a little bit of a baseline that you can use to connect other things with as well. But yeah, hopefully, I saw someone in chat saying like, oh wait, I don't feel so bad about my crit rate soul anymore. Crit rate soul is really good, 12% is really good. 3% attack is only one of the possible outcomes, and there's a good chance you don't get that. Definitely don't feel like you got that you got robbed if you get a 12% crit rate. It's a really good soul. It allows you for mobility with your grid, with your legion, with your link skills. It allows you to move all of those around, and you will keep very good stats across the board. Eventually, if you want to min-max, of course, you can do that, but don't feel like it's a horrible soul to get at all for all of you guys at home who got the magnificent souls recently. Yeah, as always, I hope this helped you guys, or at least one or two of you guys figured something out that you didn't know yet. Or girls, girls watch my videos as well. We got like 3% girl demographic. Shout out. So if you want one of these sessions as well, or you want to join my EU or NA chapter of the guild in Reboot, or you have metrics for me, battle analysis, numbers with the current patch, Neo patch being live, monster skill per hour with the Hunter challenge, or videos of you training, all of that. If you want to find any information about any of those, check the description of the video, and I'll see you guys on the next one.